Alright, here we are with our video now on the secret of Sagittarius ascendant. Y'all know the damn drill. Y'all gonna be seeing me looking down on my phone a lot as I look at my fucking notes that I took for this fucking video so I can make sure I didn't miss shit. So, one of the basic things I've said before in many of the other ascendant videos for mutable ascendants is that the mutable ascendants just naturally have a difficult karma when it comes to love and relationships. For Sagittarius, the planet that's associated with Sagittarius is Jupiter. For the seventh house, the planet associated with why the fuck am I getting tongue tied? Gemini is Mercury. And due to the mythological lore between the two planets, you would understand why this 1-7 axis would be a difficult axis. Or maybe the 1-7 axis for wherever you have the mutable signs in your house, in your birth chart in general, would be difficult. But in a general sense, for this ascendant, we will see that, you may attract partners in serious intimate relationships or connections who may be younger or have a sense of immaturity to them, a bit of a scattered mind, scattered brain to them, and you being the sign that's ruled by Jupiter, you could be somebody who could just be maybe real serious, or just real serious, or come off real more mature, and your partners, they might not want to hear all that fucking intellectual, knowledgeable, stern shit that you have to say and give and offer, and that can cause some backlash or troubles within your connections in a general sense. But yes, Mercury is the offspring of Moon and the wife of Jupiter. Jupiter found out his wife stepped out on him. There was a war between Jupiter and the Moon. Jupiter ends up taking in Mercury, ends up cursing or hexing Mercury. Mercury runs away, and yeah. So there's just a natural little dysfunction or animosity between the two planets. But as I do with all the ascendants, I look for a common theme that I can find with all the nakshatras that fall within that sign. So for Sagittarius, look at my notes, I can say it word for word. For what I gathered, life for them revolves around them professing knowledge to an audience. And they seem to be able to weaponize the knowledge for their own selfish gains and benefit. In Mula Nakshatra, the person could behave like some harsh detective or rash surgeon that's trying to get to the bottom of something, to extract and find out about the unseen. And the deity of Mula was supposedly born out of the anus of Brahma. And Brahma's lustful nature could be seen in Rohini. Therefore, we could say these people could have a lust for taboo knowledge. Now, a little bit of negligence on my behalf. Before making this video, I forgot to double check in my books, my astrological books, if it is supposedly theorized that the deity of Mula Nakshatra, Niriti, was born from the anus of Brahma. But my mind says yes, but I could be wrong. But I believe that the deity, one of the theories of lores and mythologies, is that the deity was born from the anus of Brahma. And if you know anything about Brahma, or a few things about him, I just think about him and Rohini Nakshatra, and how the sign of Taurus in a general sense is a very lustful sign, and Moon is the most exalted in Rohini and in the sign of Taurus. So, I don't know. The lustful nature of Brahma is really shown and illustrated in Rohini, since everything is like an offspring of him. And therefore, for him to want to desire and have any sexual relations is sort of a bit immoral, because everything is like his children. Um, and then, if Nariti really was supposedly one of the fairies, is that being born from the anus of Brahma, there's a lot of taboo and things we can dissect with the anus. So, depending on the culture and the time period, it's a bit, in a general sense, maybe not now, today, but years ago, it's a little bit more taboo and frowned upon to maybe do things up someone's asshole, to have anal intercourse and shit, especially of the same sex. That's a little bit hidden. That's a little bit taboo, a little bit odd and uncomfortable and whatnot. And then the symbolism for Mula Nakshatra is like a black hole or something. So we could see that for Mula, these people, they like to explore the unseen. They might not mind literally sticking their hands, or metaphorically sticking their hands in the filth to unroot and uncover information. I'm a bit wrong. I don't believe the symbolism for Mula is a black hole. I believe that the constellation, the nakshatra, is near a black hole. But yes, they could have no problem wanting to explore taboo things that could be frowned upon. And since there's a connection, supposed with Nariti being born from the anus of Brahma, we could just tie the connection of lust with knowledge. Mula natives could have a lust for knowledge because the sign of Sagittarius is associated with the ninth house of the teachings of the father and father figure and faith and beliefs and all that stuff. So for them, they could have a lust for knowledge. Then in Purvarashada, they could begin to use that knowledge to win wars before they begin, and can use it to administrate knowledge. Because the deity for Purvarashada is Apis, the water deity. And the yoni animal is a male monkey, which could be associated with Hanuman, which could be also associated with the little monkey animal hybrid human creatures known as the Vanaras. And the Vanaras and Hanuman, they like work together and serve Lord Ram, which is like the sixth incarnation of Vishnu, and his effort to go and retrieve his wife that was stolen, Sita. So there's a warrior aspect associated with the Purvarashada side of Sagittarius due to Hanuman being like a warrior, and so are the Vanaras, the little hybrid monkey deity creature thingies. So yes, in Purvarashada there's a warrior aspect associated with Sagittarius and a knowledge aspect. And with me thinking about the deity of Purvarashada being the water goddess Apis, I think about how nourishing water is, and how most of the world is composed of water, and how most of our body is also composed of liquids, water and fluids and all that good shit. So they could have a desire in Purvarashada to take knowledge that was accumulated and spread it far and wide, to nourish people with the knowledge that they acquired. Symbolism for Purvarashada is an elephant tusk. And also a symbolism for Purvarashada is like a fan, or like a weaved basket or something, but definitely a fan and an elephant tusk supposedly. The elephant tusk can be associated with Ganesha, the remover of obstacles, a deity who is blessed with the boon to be venerated before all any other gods and deities. And Ganesha is also credited for being the author of writing the details of the Mahabharata war, supposedly. So there is a theme of authorship with the side of Purva in Purvashada and the side of Sagittarius. And there is that warrior aspect associated with this side of Sagittarius in Purvashada. These people can use their intelligence, their knowledge to win things in wars before they begin. And yeah, what else do I have to say about this side of the making sure I'm not missing nothing? Moving on to Uttarashada. Then you jump to Uttarashada. We could probably see a more serious and solitary side of Sagittarius. Because it is in this side of Sagittarius where the yoni animal is a mongoose. And there's only 27 nakshatras, unless you want to count Abhijit, which would make it 28, but there's only 27 nakshatras, and 27 is an odd number. Therefore, every nakshatra will not have a yoni counterpart, a yoni partner. And Uttarashada is that nakshatra that does not have a partner, that does not have a yoni animal spouse. There isn't another mongoose nakshatra. It's just Uttarashada. Mongooses are very smart. They're very clever. They can kill a serpent, a snake, or whatever. And what else could I say? The symbolism for Uttarashada is also an elephant tusk, and it is also the planks of a bed, the foundations, the little, the frame of the bed that you would put the mattress on and shit, for real. If you was to lay in just a bed frame without a mattress, it would be very uncomfortable. So, I don't know. The Uttarashada side of Sagittarius could just be very hardworking, very serious, very isolated, and just have a solitary life. Thus, in the Sagittarius side, the person could work like they have a debt to pay off, because the god of wealth Kubera has a pet mongoose, and an incarnation of Vishnu at one point took a loan from him in order to get married, and he had accumulated a large debt that is stated to be unpaid. This debt to society could be further seen and explored when you observe that Virgo is in the 10th house for Sagittarius ascendant. So Virgo originally comes from the 6th house of debts and day-to-day routines and things that we do in our day-to-day life and diseases. It's also a house associated with proverb, the karma, things that you must face and deal with. That sign that originally belongs to this house is in the 10th house of career, maybe obligations to society. It's associated with the 10th house, your career. What are you known for? What will you do out here in this world? So we just see that in some sense, the Sagittarius ascendant person has some type of debt to pay to society, to the world. And that debt aspect could really be highlighted when you look at the nakshatra of Uttarashada in Sagittarius. As I told you, the god of wealth, Kubera, is depicted being accompanied and having like a pet mongoose, and the mongoose is the yoni animal for Uttarashada. So we can make some type of connection with wealth and debts and loans to Uttarashada in the side of Sagittarius. It is also stated or theorized that Kubera accumulated wealth from stealing, stuff from the Nagas, the serpents, the snakes. And as I told you, mongooses are known to be able to defeat snakes and serpents and all that good stuff. So On one end, we can see that the intelligence of a Sagittarius person could be directed to, stealing things, or they could use their intelligence like any other person. They could use their intelligence for underhanded things, but it is more so probably believed that in Uttarashada, they'll use their intelligence for maybe the righteous things or the proper things or the right things, because the deity associated with Uttarashada is known as the Vishva Devas, I believe, which translates into universal gods. There isn't no assigned one specific deity or god to this nakshatra, and that can be a bit, difficult or confusing for people to give a description of what this nakshatra does. But in my mind, this is just my take, I sort of associate, in my mind, with this nakshatra, I think of the Vajra Rupa form of Krishna, and when I think of this nakshatra, because during the events of the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna was speaking to Arjuna, he revealed this form to him where it's this huge, massive, cosmic form where he just shows all of existence, maybe the past, present, and future. Just shows that all of the universe, everything of existence, is contained within Krishna or Vishnu's body, And I don't know, it just makes me think, when I hear of the universal gods, I think of Uttarashada, I just think of that form of Krishna. But you can, like I said, you can also associate Purva and Uttarashada with war due to both of them having a symbolism of the elephant tusk. The elephant tusk, or it's also, elephants are hunted. They're hunted and killed for their tusks. So in Uttara and Purvarashada, we can see a theme of valuable knowledge. Them being hunted and sought after for their knowledge, or them maybe want to use their knowledge to hunt and go after things. Uttarashada translates into later victory, final victory, long-lasting victory. Purvarashada is like winning something before it begins. So Purvarashada can be very calculating and take preemptive strikes. Uttarashada, they might not take a preemptive strike. It may have a slow start, but they'll be victorious in the end. Maybe have long-lasting success or benefits or results in regards to things in Uttarashada. What else do I have to say about Uttarashada and debts? But like I said, it's believed that Kubera maybe took the wealth that he accumulated by stealing it from the Nagas, but we can see maybe in Uttarashada they are maybe able to metaphorically extract the gems from things, take the good out of the bad, take the good and extract that from the poison and use it to their own benefits and likings. What else do I have to say about just the ascendant alone? Ultimately, we're just looking at the ascendant alone. We can see that Sagittarius is a crude, harsh, devoted spiritual warrior that can have many followers and will feel obligated to deliver some type of service to uplift people within their eyes. These people could be authors and possess valuable information. Yeah, that's essentially what I have to say just about the ascendant. Just about the ascendant with the nakshatras. This ascendant, this sign, unlike maybe my other previous videos on ascendants, it wasn't so clear cut and dry for me to just give a straight up solid answer about, okay, yeah, we look at all these nakshatras, this is the clear theme. It was sort of hard for me to find a common thread with all of the nakshatras with Sagittarius, but the main thing I just seem is that they might, all three of them, have a different way of going about extracting and utilizing knowledge and information. And in the common themes that they have they have a lust for knowledge and an obligation to do something with this knowledge, to do something with this information, especially with Virgo being placed in the 10th house. So with that being said, make sure I'm not missing nothing. I'll move on to the next house. I don't think I'm missing nothing, but if I am, we'll catch it. And if I don't catch it, then the video, it just wasn't meant for it to fucking have that. Let's jump to the second house. The second house, therefore, then is Capricorn. Yeah, the second house is Capricorn. Second house is associated with the immediate family you come from, your personal wealth and sustenance. How do you provide for yourself? How do you take care of yourself? It's associated with your eyes, your mouth, your throat. Yeah. And the sign of Capricorn originally comes in the 10th house of career and obligations to society, and it's ruled by this planet Saturn. Saturn can be associated with elderly things, slow things, discipline, structure. And the second house is your voice. Second house is the voice, and the third house might be how you communicate, how you express yourself. So, make sure I don't miss nothing. We can see with Capricorn being in the second house, you could be disciplined and structured with your wealth, or your family you could come from a very disciplined and structured family background. Your voice could be very strong and draw attention. You could maybe have, especially with the second and third house being two signs ruled by Saturn, you can be very meticulous and careful with your choice of words, how you speak to people and stuff. Your voice can draw attention and demands authority and power and respect, or commands it and stuff. And since Capricorn originally comes from the 10th house of career, we could see that, and then Saturn is associated with karma. There could be some huge karma for Sagittarius ascendant people when it comes to them speaking and or writing, since second and third house is associated with Sagittarius. Since second and third house is associated with Saturn, my bad. There could be there could be a karma, a huge karma with those two areas of your life. What else do I have to say? But that's essentially all that I had to say for the second house of Sagittarius. I'm making sure that I'm not missing nothing else. But no, you can just be real orderly and structured with your wealth and finances. Now I'm gonna jump to the third house. With the third house is associated with skills with hands, written communication, short distance travel, your neighborhood, friends, siblings, specifically youngest sibling. It could be associated with surgery. And yeah, sign of Aquarius is associated with the planet Saturn, co-ruled by the shadow planet, the Graha Rahu, the North Node Rahu. And Rahu, the North Node, is associated with new things that you need to focus on in this life. It's an area of an experience, somewhere where you need to focus and where you could be new at. And because you're new at that area, you could fuck up and make a lot of mistakes in that area. And Rahu is it's the head of the Asura. So it just it's just very forward thinking. It's very telescopic. K2 is very microscopic. So Rahu is very forward thinking, very more associated with the future, and K2 is more associated with the past. And with Aquarius, originally coming from the 11th house of the eldest sibling, in large social network circles, organizations, and gains, the Sagittarius ascendant person could want to organize their speeches, their writings, whether it's through pen and paper and social media and texting and typing. They could want to use their words, use their typings, use that shit to organize and rally and gather and bring people together. Their speech and their skills could unite and gather people together. And like I said, they could just be very meticulous and careful and structured with the things that they say. What else do I have to say? Their siblings could assist with this, or there could be a theme of this. Yes, their siblings could have some type of role, because Aquarius comes from the 11th house. The 11th house is associated with the eldest sibling. The 3rd house is associated with the youngest sibling and siblings in general. So there is some type of karma maybe with your siblings helping you gather people together and giving speeches and assisting you with maybe things within your local immediate environment. You could wish to maybe organize and uplift and change your immediate surroundings and neighborhood and environment. I just see like some type of maybe organization of the community or things and people around you. Like, here's a real practical example. Here we go. This is a nice practical example that I can think of with Aquarius in the 3rd house. This is like somebody who hosts a lot of events within the city. You know, they could be very artistic. They could always be doing vending events and pop-up shops. And because they're at these vending events and pop-up shops, selling things, meeting merchants and small startup businesses all over the state and city, they are networking and meeting with a whole lot of people in their immediate environments. Yeah, they're networking and meeting with a lot of people in their immediate environments. What else do I have to say? So that could just be one example you might see of that theme of networking and organizing and rallying people within your immediate environment with this. So now, we're going to go and jump to the 4th house. The 4th house could give you, get all tongue-tied over my fucking words. Can represent indoor dwellings, relationship with the mother and mother figure. Places of comfort, like your home and your car. And then the sign that is here is Pisces. Pisces originally comes from the 12th house of isolation, foreign things, and loss. Yes, yeah, it originally comes from that house of isolation and foreign things, maybe things near water and by water, and abstract things. Those are some of the things that Pisces is associated with. So we could, theorize that a Sagittarius ascendant person might have a distant relationship with their mother or mother figure. They could eventually move away from the state or country that they was born in. They could live near water, desire to want to live near water. Your home could be a place of escape. Since Pisces is very abstract, Pisces originally comes in the 12th house of sleep. It's a place of rest. 12th from any house is the loss of that house. So since, Pisces is 12th from the ascendant is self, the loss of yourself could be death, but it's not necessarily death, but it's more so like sleep or unconsciousness, or maybe spiritually leaving your physical body. I don't know. So with Pisces being in the home, your home could be a place where you can escape from the world, escape from yourself. This is why I also believe the 12th house or Pisces can be associated with like ashrams, these little spiritual places where you just get away from things, get away from the world and all this other stuff and transcend. Your home could be this real spiritual place, this place of peace and rest where you can just escape. Home could be a place where your intuition and creativity flourishes. And you may really see your home be a place of where your intuition and creativity flourishes. Especially because, I don't know, you got the abstract sign of Pisces being, and Venus is exalted in this abstract sign of Pisces. And Venus is associated with love and relationships and girls and sex and beauty and all those things. And is in a very artistic abstract sign. And then you have Mercury is logical intelligence. It's like book smarts. It's like memorizing information, memorizing historical facts and being able to repeat it and know it. But in Pisces, its intelligence is now, I don't know, it's just different. Its intelligence is different. It's more out of the box. It's a little bit more loony. You might have a beautiful home with Pisces being in the 4th house, and your intuition could just flourish when you're in your home, or maybe in a home near water with Pisces here. But moving on from the 4th house, we have the 5th house with Aries being there. The 5th house is associated with children and is associated with education and learning. Since 5th from the 5th is the 9th and 9th from the 9th is the 5th, there's a theme between the two houses of, so 9th is more so of teaching, 5th is more so of learning. And Aries is in the 5th house for this ascendant. Aries is associated with your head, it just represents yourself, your physical body and well-being in a general sense. Aries is a very impulsive, alpha, and selfish sign in a general sense. So we could see that your mind, your overall focus could be directed towards children, wanting to have children, or you could have children who could be maybe very impulsive, selfish, alpha, and independent themselves. And since the 5th house is associated with learning, your mind, your focus, your body's mind focus could be on wanting to learn yourself, wanting to educate oneself. That's really the most general sense and answer that I can think of with the 5th house in Sagittarius being Aries. You could just have maybe very selfish, impulsive, rash children. You yourself could just have a desire to maybe want to have children. Your body, your head, your soul, whatever, could maybe desire to want to produce and have children, which could make sense for you being the Sagittarius ascendant. If you don't have nobody to teach, are you a teacher? If you don't have no students to teach, if there's no one for you to share your knowledge with, you're not really a teacher, you're a hoarder. So the Sagittarius ascendant person with Aries in the 5th house could be very eager to have students, to have children. They can make rash decisions in regards to them having children and raising their children. And they could be very rash and impulsive of maybe learning and wanting to learn and educate themselves. Who knows? And then we jump to the 6th house. The 6th house for Sagittarius is Taurus. So with Taurus being in the 6th house, the 6th house is associated with, servants and slaves and debts and death and illnesses and small pets and animals, things that we deal with on a day-to-day things, those type of obstacles. The sign of Taurus comes from the second house of your personal wealth, the immediate thing that you come from. Is a sign that's associated with, just like Scorpio, lust and obsession. The moon is exalted in this sign. The mind could be obsessive and addicted and feels good when it has to use its intelligence to face and remedy the issues of the world, maybe. Or maybe, since the sign of Taurus originally comes from the second house for your personal wealth, a lot of your wealth as the Sagittarius ascendant could be dumped towards taking care of others. A lot of your wealth could maybe be dumped towards taking care of your bills and nurturing others. And then that makes you think about the second house for Sagittarius ascendant being Capricorn, and Capricorn originally coming from the 10th house of career. A lot of your personal wealth could maybe be sacrificed towards your career, whatever your career may be, whatever you may desire to pursue. A lot of your wealth could be dumped on that pursuit. It's like being an entrepreneur and no one believes in your dream except you. No one has interest in what you want to do except you. So if no one can see the beauty and profit in what it is that you want to do, you're going to have to work hard and put up your own money to do the things that you want to do. And you may make a lot of mistakes due to your inexperience, and it could just be a money pit. I could just see that the Sagittarius ascendant person will maybe have to really be organized and disciplined with their wealth, and that they can maybe be real prone in wasting their wealth taking care of maybe others, with Taurus being in the 6th house. Or it could just be like a money pit of them throwing their money constantly away in favor of trying to do something that aligns with their career, with what they want to do in this life. But then, like I said, also with Taurus being in the 6th house and Moon being exalted in this sign, your intelligence or the mind could just feel obsessed with this house. It could feel real good and at ease and at peace. Maybe utilizing its intelligence to deal with the day-to-day issues that one may face. What else could I say? You could accrue a lot of debt in this house, maybe with Taurus being in the 6th house, due to Taurus being a sign of lust and obsession. And Taurus coming from the 2nd house of the mouth, of the eyes. You know, the mouth, the eyes, the throat. That could be associated with cosmetic things. That could be associated with feeding yourself and making sure that you look good. You could probably rack up a lot of debt by spending your wealth either on, taking care of others or just on your own selfish desires. But I just feel a need of maybe y'all need to be real careful and disciplined with your money. Or you could spend a lot of the wealth maybe on selfish pleasures or having to take care of others. But just be real careful with your wealth is what I could say. And this sort of makes sense stereotypically, from a stereotypical perspective. When you look at maybe, some spiritual people, some occult workers, or maybe some civil rights leaders and activists, they're not necessarily rich. They could be a huge and important public figure. They could have a lot of followers and a lot of people, look at them and you see, they could have a nice following. But if, for the most part, these people, they could be struggling, living out of hotels, and might not have their own car or a stable. They could just be lacking stability, especially if they're using their money for what they're supposed to be using their money for, and maybe not just stealing money for their own selfish gains to con people and better their life. But I don't know. Some spiritual people, some civil rights leaders, some activists, they might have a huge following, be on cameras and all that good stuff, but they might not really have money due to, for whatever reason. That's how I sort of envision a Sagittarius as I go through these houses. They could be smart, they could be impactful, but they may not be the richest. And they maybe need to be real disciplined with how they utilize their money. Their money may be utilized improperly by taking care of others aside from themselves. Because with the second house being reminiscent of maybe the immediate family that you come from, your family background, Capricorn is that karma. It's coming from the 10th house of like your obligation to society. What are you going to do in this world? What is your career? We could theorize for the Sagittarius ascendant, their wealth could be given to the family, taking care of the family. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just spitballing and putting things in my mind as I really sit and think about these houses and signs with Sagittarius. There is some karma with wealth, which makes sense, as I told you about Uttarashada and the mongoose and the god of Kubera. There is a debt, some type of debt, literal or metaphorical, with the Sagittarius ascendant person, and it could be with their family, with Capricorn being in the second house. Yes, nonetheless, it might be hard for me to pinpoint it with my, I'm not that damn smart, but I do feel confident there is some type of debt with wealth. Their wealth might be, I don't know, and also with Taurus being in the 6th house, they could suffer afflictions with their throat. The 6th house is just the intestines, and Taurus comes from the 2nd house, which is the throat and the face. The Sagittarius ascendant person should probably be careful of what they eat, what they consume. They might be subjected to illnesses of their throat, maybe due to them speaking too much, eating the wrong things. Who knows? There's a lot I could say about this house, but I'm going to move on. Because I feel as though I'll just be talking in circles and I'll spend like 20 minutes trying to think about what could be the many things I could say about the 6th house. So now we're going to jump to the 7th house, where you have Gemini there. 7th house could be the marriage, the spouse, intimate one-on-one connections and intimate relationships. Gemini comes from the 3rd house of short distance travel, riveting communications, youngest siblings in a general sense, duplicity, multiple things. As usual, we could see the difficult relationship karma with mutable ascendants, like I just told you in the beginning of this video. Spouse could be younger, maybe committed to more than one partner. Partner may come off as immature and won't want to listen to your lectures and wisdom all the time. Maybe view you as controlling. Partner could be very explorative, inquisitive, indecisive, and maybe not being, and they could be someone who is very unrestrained, someone who is very hard to tie down and sit down and whatnot. That's all I gotta really say for the 7th house of Sagittarius, being Gemini in the 7th, is that your partner could just be younger or a bit immature, and they could, I don't know, might not really want to listen to you. You may be real serious, orderly, and disciplined, and they might not be, they might not share those qualities. They might be very wishy-washy and indecisive, which could be a common theme with mutable ascendants, but more so with the mercurial signs because Jupiter is like considered, Jupiter and Saturn are considered like generational planets, if I'm not mistaken, because they stay in a sign for so long. Versus Mercury, it doesn't stay in a sign for that long. It's never that far away from whatever sign the sun is in. So, and then Mercury being the offspring of Moon goes through a sign, goes through a nakshatra every single day. It's not stable. It's very chameleon. So is Mercury. So there could be a real wishy-washy theme with Gemini in the 7th house. And the wishiness, the unstableness could cause a strain. They could be very wishy-washy, unrestrained, and maybe a bit immature. And you, as the Sagittarius ascendant, could be a little bit more disciplined and stern and focused and know what you want. Y'all can just have two different philosophies of how to approach life, which could be normal with marriages and unions in a general sense, but it could probably take more of a strain for you in this union. Now we're going to go jump to the 8th house, where it is Cancer. The 8th house is associated with sex, death, transformation, things inherited through death, occult taboo things, your in-laws, your spouse's wealth, and your wealth of your in-laws. Cancer originally coming from the 4th house of the mother figure, the sign where the moon rules, things that make you feel secured and nurtured. You can feel emotionally secure based upon the financial status of your spouse and partner. Your nurturers could come from the spouse's family, or maybe through the psychological turbulences and traumas and transformations that you will find. You will find some peace and security through the storm, especially since the sign of Jupiter is exalted in this sign. I said the sign of Jupiter. The planet Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. So maybe for the Sagittarius ascendant with Jupiter being exalted in Cancer, you could maybe, in a weird sense, you feel, knowledge and wisdom for the Sagittarius ascendant. I mean, this could go for anybody, but some people are not real conscious and self-aware of things. But maybe for the Sagittarius ascendant, a lot of y'all, when you go through trials and tribulations in your life, and it could be real spiritual maybe for y'all. It could be real spiritual for you to go through the bullshit that you will go through in this life. It could just be very spiritual, very transformative, and the wisdom and insight that you gather from overcoming these obstacles could make you self-soothe yourself. It could maybe make you feel nurtured and give you this peace with you going through the things that you go through. And this could be seen through multiple houses in this ascendant. Because as I told you, in the 6th house, Moon is exalted. Taurus is a bit of a lustful, obsessive sign. The 6th house is debts and debts. Debts and diseases. And the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. The mind can be obsessed and focused on those things. Or maybe feel good and balanced when it's dealing with these type of obstacles. Cancer, a sign that's ruled by the moon, is in the 8th house of these turbulent transformations and deaths and inheritances and issues. Also is a sign where Jupiter, the guru, is exalted in. Then, if you look at fast forwarding, you jump to the 12th house. The 12th house is Scorpio. A sign where the moon is debilitated. A sign where it is co-ruled by the South Node K2. Is now in the house that's associated with sleep, the unconscious, abstract things, isolation, water, foreign things, hospitals and jail, all those type of things that could lead you closer to God. When you're in jail, you're going through hard times, it could maybe make you turn to God. You're sick in a hospital on your deathbed, it can make you turn to God. So the 12th house is very spiritual, with Scorpio being there, originally coming from the 8th house itself. When the Sagittarius ascendant person maybe goes through trauma and turbulent things within their marriage, because the 8th house is like life after marriage, it's your in-laws and your spouse's wealth. What I'm saying is based upon the 12th and the 8th house, but we can just see when the Sagittarius ascendant person goes through these turbulent things and traumatic things in their life, it like gives them a spiritual power up when they go through these things. They go through like a power up when they go through these trials and tribulations in their life. And they can be very great at meditating and just get spiritual boosts when they're in isolation, when they're alone. And they can be fairly supported with Pisces being in the 4th house. And the 12th house being Scorpio, and Scorpio being associated with the transformations, and the 12th house being the foreign things, abstract things. When the Sagittarius ascendant person is in isolation, when the Sagittarius ascendant person is going through trials and tribulations in their life, maybe in their marriage or whatever, it will give them a spiritual power where knowledge and wisdom and otherworldly maybe nurturance and guidance might just flow to them and come to them. I went all over the place with Sagittarius ascendant, but back to the 8th house, on the financial aspect, the Sagittarius ascendant person may feel real nurtured and comforted with maybe their in-laws. Because what's the opposite of Sagittarius? Yes. They may feel real, I don't know. They can feel emotionally supported and nurtured through their in-laws, or through somehow the spouse's wealth. They can maybe be very emotionally invested in the income and gains of the spouse's wealth in some way, shape, or form. Who knows? Then we'll jump to the 9th house. The 9th house is the teachings of the father figure. The 9th house, as long as it's travel. The 9th house is teaching. The 9th house for Sagittarius ascendant is Leo, a sign that's associated with leaders and leadership and all that good stuff. And we could see that you could desire to be the leader in the foremost of teaching and educating people on a subject. Father figure could have bestowed and passed down his philosophy, beliefs, or something to shape you on whatever it is you may be teaching or giving to the world, since the sign of Leo is also sort of associated with inheritances and passing things down. If you look at my Leo ascendant video, the one that I was frustrated with because it took me a lot of times to record it due to multiple reasons, so therefore that video is very short but to the point. When we look at the first two nakshatras of Leo, the yoni animal is a rat. Rats are experimented on. Rats are experimented on and tested before you have human trials. So the sacrifices and obstacles that rats are exposed to is for the betterment of the future. The things that a leader does is for the betterment of not just himself, but for his company, for his legacy, what he's building, what he'll be leaving behind for the next person after he's gone. So with Leo, aside from it being a sign associated with leadership, it's also a sign that's associated with passing things down, leaving something behind for the next the next generation, passing the torch. So, what else did I say in my notes before I start freestyling? But yeah, I don't know. I'm getting all tongue-tied. I lost my train of thought. But like I said, in a general sense, the Leo person, with the Sagittarius ascendant person with Leo in the 9th house could desire to be the head and foremost of whatever it is they could be teaching or professing to people. And their thinkings, their philosophy, their beliefs, it could have been passed down from a father or father figure. They could have been greatly, maybe, inspired. Their beliefs or their field of profession of where they could be knowledgeable and their field of profession where they could be knowledgeable on could have been strongly influenced by somebody and maybe someone in their family. Or there could be something passed down to them, either literally or just spiritually, metaphorically in their blood, that could shape what they believe in and what they teach and whatnot. And then, since, Leo is ruled by the sun is supposed to be a cargo of the ego and the soul, it could just simply show the soul desires to find a teacher, or the soul desires to be the teacher itself. And since the 9th house is associated with long distance travel, the soul could desire to spread and teach their teachings across the world, which further goes back to the ascendant with Purvashada Nakshatra, with the deity being opposite the water spirit, and water is like everywhere. Water could be used for transporting goods, like things on boats and ferries and all that good stuff, and nourishing people. Those could be the things that we could sort of see in a general sense with the 9th house being Leo. We jump to the 10th house. 10th house is Virgo. The 10th house is associated with, your career, your obligations to society. What are you known for? You're known and judged by what you do for a living. Virgo, coming from the 6th house of Prarabdha Karma, servants, slaves, and debts and diseases and all that good stuff. And like I said, being a servant, serving other things, being a slave to something. You're a slave to your bills. You gotta work to pay your bills so that you can live the life that you want. You're a slave to your body. If you don't take care of your body, you'll get sick. You have to deal with the diseases and repercussions. So there's a servitude nature to Virgo. And with Virgo being in the 10th house, we could see that the Sagittarius ascendant person has some type of debt to do and give to the people. Their profession, their career will very likely revolve around them having to serve and benefit people of some kind. They have to uplift and serve and benefit and better people of some kind. And let me see my notes for a second. Let me see my notes. My bad, y'all. Yes, with Mercury here, your intelligence is exalted. Your intelligence is exalted, and you can work in an environment that revolves around you catering to people and bettering and uplifting them in some way. So your intelligence is really exalted when you are doing these type of things. Give me one moment, y'all. But yes, your intelligence could be real exalted in this house. What else? You can be real wishy-washy with your career and unsure how to best find a career that illustrates these skills. Or maybe you'll be good at a job that you might not want to do or don't like, but you'll feel called or pulled to do it anyway. And I say this because I say this because I told you, Mercury is a very, it's a very chameleon-like planet. It doesn't stay in a sign that long. It's never too far behind from whatever sign that the sun is in. And there's a sense of a Virgo and Gemini, maybe naivety or youthfulness. So there's a theme of maybe more so in Gemini of duplicity, multiplicity, but you probably see it in Virgo to some extent. Maybe doing multiple things, tackling multiple things, unsureness in what it is that you may want to do or whatnot, and all that good stuff. Yeah. Maybe you'll be good at a job that you might not want to do or don't like, but you'll feel called to do it anyway. I said that because whatever house Virgo is in, there's some type of affliction. There's some type of debt or disease or affliction or whatever with whatever house Virgo is in. So therefore, there can just be like some type of confusion in regards to your career. Going back to that chameleon, wishy-washy nature of maybe mercurial signs. You could be like, man, I'm very smart. I'm very good at this, whatever I might be good at. But I don't know. What I do, it doesn't really bring no money. It doesn't really make no money. But when I try to do anything else, even if it does pay me well, I'm not really happy or satisfied. I feel like I need to be doing this. But when I lean into what I want to do, it doesn't really, it doesn't give me what I want. There's a wishy-washy nature. For example, I'll just use spiritual work as a prime example. Some people could love to do tarot readings, but they might not really get booked for readings. Or they feel so drained doing them and catering to the audience and people. Or they might deal with people stealing their readings. You post something and someone copies what you say and they get the credit for it. So yeah, you could deal with those type of things. This wishy-washiness, uncertainty with your career. Maybe a reluctance in what it is you may want to do with your career. Like you may know that you need to do something, but you could find displeasure in what it is that you know that you need to do. Who knows? But that's my theory. That's what I instinctively feel. There could be something like that in regards to your career for Sagittarius ascendant. But I feel as though your career will go towards benefiting and uplifting and maybe organizing or serving mankind. And the best, easiest, low-hanging fruit fucking answer is to say it's like a teacher. Or maybe running some fucking recreational fucking center or something. Something where you take troubled kids and give them a place where they can get food and some education and some type of shelter. And in this place you heal them, maybe not physically but mentally and spiritually. And this type of job, it might not really pay well, but it's fulfilling for the soul. And then maybe you might have a lot of self-doubt. You're like, man, I shouldn't be doing this. Who am I? I'm a troubled, fucked up person myself. I don't have all the answers. I shouldn't be doing this as a career profession. But then you get the nice feedback from people who you've been helped, and that sort of gives you this glimmer and spark of hope. You can deal with those type of themes with Virgo being in the 10th house. Moving on to the 11th house. The 11th house could be... Yes, the 11th house is large social network circles, organizations, and gains. Can represent the eldest sibling. Libra represent intimate connections and relationships and love in a general sense. We could see spousal connections could be found and built in network circles and large organizations and group. With Saturn exalted here, plus a Saturn-ruled sign in the 3rd house, we can see that the people of this ascendant have a heavy karma with having an obligation to the world, people, and society. Aquarius is in the 3rd house for Sagittarius ascendant, and Libra is in the 11th house for Sagittarius ascendant. Aquarius is the mutual cone sign of Saturn, and Libra is the exaltation of Saturn. Saturn is the planet associated with karma and discipline and order and structure. This order and structure has to be directed towards your speech, towards your writing, towards your communication, towards your wealth in the second house, towards dealing with large amounts of people in the 11th house and making gains from it. Sagittarius people have a huge obligation and debt to dealing with the masses, to organizing and rallying them and delivering a message. You can even see that with the 7th house. Even though the 7th house is associated with the spouse, you got Gemini coming from the 3rd house of written communication, and communication being placed in the 7th house of intimate connections. Sagittarius has a huge karma and debt with dealing with people, counseling people, guiding people, advising people. It has that huge karma and debt with working for the people, benefiting them, organizing them, teaching them, commanding them in some way, shape, form, or fashion. This is what Sagittarius has to do. And you may find your love, your spouse, your love connections through your field, through your path. On your path of teaching and being some community organizer and event planner, you may find your spouse, through doing these type of things. And yeah, Sun is debilitated in Libra. Sun is the soul in the ego. It's a selfish in the planet Graha. Libra isn't selfish. It has to work with people. You may need to learn to tone down your ego. You may think that you're hot shit, that's the smartest and the greatest at what you do, but you'll have to learn to maybe get off your high horse maybe in order to network and communicate and work with people and not rub people the wrong way with your potential arrogance. Lastly, we'll look at the 12th house. The 12th house is Scorpio. 12th house is foreign places outside your country or state that you was born in. Hospitals and jails can be seen with the 12th house. 12th house originally ruled by Pisces. 12th house, very spiritual. 12th house could be abstract and a place of rest. When you're in jail, you're going through hard shit, you become real spiritual, you're closer to God. So even when you're in a hospital on your deathbed, or maybe when you're just isolating, or maybe when you go to sleep, you have those out-of-body experiences and these crazy dreams that feel prophetic. So the 12th house could be associated with meditation. And like I said, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, co-ruled by Ketu. Both are very dissective and penetrative grahas. And Ketu is a body without the head. So it's not really thinking logically and thinking straight. You could say in the sense that it's very detached. It's associated with things of the past and microscopic and dissecting things. Let's see what did my notes say before I go talk off the top of my head. Moon is debilitated here. The mind can feel anxious, paranoid, and stressed out when it's in hospitals and jails or foreign places away from home. With the house being associated with sleep and the sign of Scorpio coming from, the 8th house being associated with trauma and transformation, you might have trouble sleeping or have prophetic dreams. You can experience great transformation and change through meditation or when in isolation or in an unfamiliar land. When you, like I said, when you sleep, when you meditate, when you're isolated, you could really have these transformative out-of-body experiences. You may experience a lot of trauma or transformational traumatic things when you are maybe, outside the country, outside your state, or in isolated environments. They can be very transformational, very dissecting, maybe in the metaphorical sense. Sign of Scorpios also likes Taurus when it comes to being obsessive, but more so Scorpio could be paranoid due to the association with Indra and one of the nakshatras in Scorpio. Yeah, in isolation, the Sagittarius person, ascendant person, could maybe be anxious, and they might have to fight to calm and still their mind. And in this process, great prophetic insight and awakenings and transformations could occur. But that's all I gotta say for Sagittarius ascendant. So I hope that this gave y'all great knowledge and clarity and insight for understanding Sagittarius ascendant. And I will see y'all on my next video. Thanks for sticking around.